Hello, this is Kiwanitalk. My name is Ray Scaboria. I'll be your host for this evening's program. Kiwanitalk is a public information program brought to you from the facilities of WDHS at Dearborn High School by members of the Dearborn Kiwanis Club and students that help us tape our shows. Tonight, we are pleased to have a representative of a really great charitable organization. And the representative is Kim Lan Trin. And she is the Director of Development and Community Relations for World Medical Relief. Kim, it's nice to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Ray.
What we like to do is give, and we were just talking before the show a little bit.
Yes.
But I'd like to ask you to give a little background, a little of your background. Obviously, as we talked about you being Vietnamese, how you got here, and a little background on education and where you've worked.
I came to Holland, Michigan on a scholarship at Hope College, and I've had a career both in the corporate and the nonprofit world. So I was with the Chrysler Foundation for a while, and then I switched to the Community Foundation, and my last place of employment was the Detroit Opera House. So for me, it's a 180-degree switch from culture and the arts to humanitarian human services. And I think I'm glad I did the switch.
Yeah. Well, my connection with World Medical Relief, I've been in our Kiwanis Club for about 38 years. And the original founder, the lady who, and I forget her name, pardon me, you may know it, but she came to our club at least 30 some years ago. And of course the World Medical Relief at that time was in an office building down in Detroit.
On Rosa Parks Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And recently you've moved to a new one-story, single-story facility in, I believe it's Southfield, is that
yes.
right? Yes.
Yes.
Which probably helps a lot with what you do, moving a lot of material in and out.
Well, Mrs. Irene Oberlin was the founder of World Medical Relief in 1953. And we have been on Rosa Parks since 1953 until last year. The facilities on Rosa Parks is like an 8-story building.
Yeah.
And so we have to store our equipment on each floor. And we had one elevator that sometimes doesn't work. So, and then we only have one dock behind the building. So, with the difficulty of loading and unloading the equipment, and then only one dock to work with, we are delayed in our shipment. So last year, we were able to move to Southfield thanks to a bequest of $1.5 million.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
we were able to purchase this building, and now it's just one story, 63,000 square feet with 10 docks in the back, which means we are able to ship a lot more than we were before.
Now, just to give our viewers a concept, the basic concept of World Medical Relief is that you receive donated medical supplies.
The concept behind World Medical Relief is to collect all the equipment in the medical world, medical equipment and supplies, and then we sort them out by categories, and then we ship them to developing countries. And then because we charge a fee for handling the shipment, we use the proceeds from international shipment to fund our local programs. So it's a win-win on both ways.
I see.
Yes.
And just, can you give any kind of a concept of the volume that you handle? Because I know you ship by pallets, I believe.
Exactly. We have two kinds of containers. One is 20 feet and the other one is 40 feet. And last year, I think we shipped about 50 containers, and we hope to double that number this year.
And a lot of the doubling has a lot to do with the facility
itself. It has a lot to do with our facilities because now it's just one floor, and we are able to store all of the equipment, and we are able to move them around just on one floor. And then with all the docks that we have, it's a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, you can have
Yes.
2 or 3 pickups at the same time if
Right.
necessary, which you
Right.
couldn't before.
We can do a half a dozen shipment in a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's and now also pass on to our viewers an estimate, just an approximate estimate of almost all of the work is done, or a great deal of it is done by volunteers. Is that correct?
We have 2,500 volunteers.
2,500
Different
volunteers.
shifts, different hours. A lot of the kids from local universities come on Saturdays to help out. We would not be able to function without them because our staff is very lean and mean. I think we can claim that our administrative expenses is only 7.85% of total budget. So I think we are very proud of that fact.
That's
Yes.
certainly commendable for any charity. I don't think the Salvation Army does that well.
Right, right. So we would not be able to operate as well without our volunteers. We have, just recently, we have physicians. You know, I think the trend now is to have professionals in the medical world give back to the community.
Yeah.
So we are partnering with various health organizations where they send physicians to our facilities to do volunteer work and to show that they are giving back to the community that way. Just today we had a few doctors coming in to volunteer.
Well, I imagine having doctors come in can be quite helpful with certain kinds of issues, you know. What do we do with this particular item? You know?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
even more than that, with the expansion that we are projecting, because we have so much space now, we have new programs on the way. For example, our pacemakers program, our biomedical lab, and our outpatient clinic. We are hoping that the outpatient clinic will be staffed by volunteer physicians and nurses. Right now we're working on renovating so that we have examination table, we have you know, all the machines in the examination room, and a place where we can, the doctors can take care of the patients.
So this would be actually outpatient care in your facility by
In our
medical
facility by medical professionals that are
That's amazing.
retired or even still active, but are going to
that want to volunteer to
right
do
volunteer a certain number of hours a week. Yeah.
this. Another thing that give me an idea, because I want to don't get away from the original concept where most of the medical supplies were shipped to mostly third world countries. Would you say when I say third? Yeah. Give me an example, just you know, maybe a listing of some of the countries that would be.
We ship to Asia. We ship to Africa, and the Middle East as well.
Yeah.
Places like Kenya, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Philippines,
I know you ship to Haiti.
Haiti, yes, to name a few.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty much the poorer countries where the incomes
Developing
are lower,
countries,
developing
yes.
countries. Yes.
And the you watch programs on Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
You've seen places where they don't even have a building; they just have a tent,
Yeah.
and then they have mats on the floor, and that's how the doctors operate. So when we ship a number of beds that right now would be, you know, donated by hospitals like Beaumont Health, St. John, all of those places, they upgrade the beds, for instance, every now and then we just take the old ones and we ship them overseas. So then, you know, those makeshift hospital would at least have a bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you're aware of this. You may be aware of this, but the Kiwanis International has had a program trying to help all young, potentially expecting mothers in third world countries to get tetanus shots, because infantile tetanus is a problem in countries where there there isn't sanitary conditions for delivery.
Yes.
And it's not unusual for babies to get tetanus,
Yes.
which is, I
Right.
guess, it's always fatal to the baby, you know. And so that, but you know, you're covering a broader scope of all kinds of supplies that become available.
Oh yes, oh yes. And I mentioned to you earlier that it's a win-win for us, both on the local and the international side, is because what we collect in handling fees for the international shipment, we use those funds to fund our local program. For example, we have what is called the affordable prescription program. We are able to purchase medication, and then we can give them to local poor people or sick people or underinsured people, people who cannot afford to buy, you know, prescription, and then those people get it. So local and international.
Well, at our church has a right here in Dearborn. We have we go to a Presbyterian church over on Telegraph, and we have a what we call a food pantry, or we call it Helping Hand.
Yes.
But we give out food.
Oh,
and I'm, if I may, I might hand your card out to a few folks I see.
Yes, please do so.
You know, because I'm sure they are candidates.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. We want to be exposed. We want the people to know what we are about. And the more we get the word out, the more good we're going to do.
Now, you're actually, I guess you have your address on here.
Yes, 21725 Melrose Avenue in Southfield, corner of 8 Mile and Lasser.
8 Mile and Lasser.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, I was at your old facility several times because, you know, how things go in life, you end up with medical devices that you don't need anymore for whatever reason.
Right.
And so I believe I took down a wheelchair once and some other thing. I guess, you know, that's the type of thing that you'll accept and find a way to use.
So talk about wheelchair. For example, somebody has a parent that passed away, and they have all kinds of medical equipment, for example, a wheelchair that they have no need for, that is still very good, very usable. They drop them off to us, and we in turn will give it to somebody who needs it and cannot afford to buy it. So it's a win-win everywhere.
Sure,
you know?
It is. Sure, it is. That actually was those. This is my mother lived with us, and when she passed on, that's where they came from, you know. So maybe I'll look around. I might have something I could bring up.
Yes, and you know, we're not just about medical equipment either. In the fall, early fall, in October, we start collecting blankets for homeless people. And we work in partnership with all the local homeless shelters so that we can distribute those blankets to them. And we are fortunate enough to get supply of about 10,000 disaster relief blankets from the Department of Defense every year.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I want to put your World Medical Relief's website on the screen here. It's www.worldmedicalrelief, all spelled out.
All one word.
No punctuation. .org.
.org. Exactly.
Okay. And would you want to put anything? Do you want to put your a phone number on?
Sure.
Oh, the office phone number.
The office phone. Yes.
That's 313-866-5333.
Extension 243.
243 is
that's
your
the
extension.
Wrong information again. Thank you.
So and you'll answer the phone, is that right? 243?
Yes.
You'll answer the phone.
Yeah, I will answer the phone.
In Vietnamese,
No.
English,
How about
German,
in 6 different
Italian,
languages?
or French.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
No, thank you.
To me, it's remarkable when somebody you know, masters a bunch of languages like
Well,
that, so
you
they
know,
can
some people
actually converse in them.
Have a knack for it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. It's just like once you have two, It's easy to pick up the third
Yeah.
one, and it's easier after that.
Well, we're going to take our little break now,
Okay.
and we'll be back after a minute
Okay.
with Kim Lam Trin from World Medical Relief.
Thank you.
Hello. In our community, there is an organization that has been around for close to 100 years, and their members are not paid a single dime for their time and efforts. In fact, they give rather than receive. You may not recognize them from their faces, but once a year they put on an apron and go to work. They're Kiwanis, and they care about our community, so support and contribute to the annual Kiwanis Peanut Fundraiser. You may not recognize them from their faces, but the work they do is unmistakable.
Peanuts. Not a big investment. They're good at the ballpark and at the zoo. They're a must. Each year, a group of people from your community put on aprons, breathe the cars and the environment, and give them to you in exchange for a slight donation. Small change. And why? To help the children in your neighborhood, the schools, the families, and you. See what Kiwanis can do for you, and when you see us on your street corner, give, and let us show you what we can do for peanuts. For close to 100 years, Kiwanis cares.
It's an ambitious effort, a local group gathering life-saving medical supplies and shipping them off to foreign countries, helping to bring relief to the world.
Irene Oberlin started World Medical Relief in 1953. She was able to get help from people who live in the city of Detroit to help the sick, poor, and the needy throughout the world. The World Medical Relief grew tremendously to more than 101 countries. We collect medical equipment and supplies, and we get this from our hospitals, and especially in the state of Michigan. And volunteers come here to World Medical Relief to sort the supplies. We collect and distribute the supplies for the mission, and we ship this by containers, more than